Morning. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. I'm Sinead. This is AI for Designers. Thank you so much for LinkedIn Live for joining us too. Before we get started, I've got a couple of announcements, a little bit of things to go through. So the agenda for today, first we will be hearing from Will and Hilly. Next we'll be hearing from Greg, and then we'll be hearing from Rodney. Lots of interesting stuff on AI and photography and brand stock photos and next-gen kind of design methods for you here today. Doors will be closing at 10 to 8 or 10 to 9, sorry. So don't be too concerned if I try to push you out the door a little bit. You have been warned. We are always looking for speakers. So if anybody here has been working on stuff with AI, been using it in your day-to-day practices, we'd love to hear about it. We'd love to have you on board and have you in at our next date on July 17th. If you're engaged in UX, UI, graphic design, we'd love to hear about it if you're testing out any new processes. At the end, if that seems something like you, please do not be shy. You can reach out to me at sinead@theaiusergroup.com, you or somebody else you know who might be interested. So without further ado, I would love to pass it over to Will and Hilly. They will be presenting on photography and AI. And take it away, guys.
All right. Hello, I'm Willie.
Welcome, I'm Hilly.
Yeah. So here we go. So we're going to be talking about AI and photography. Together, we've been doing photography for about 9 years as a husband and wife team. And, we've always both been computer nerds and been kind of following the trend of AI since the beginning and trying to figure out ways to incorporate it with our photography. So we're going to be going over some workflow and just a little bit of a portfolio at the end as well. So if you want to.
Right.
So our approach in some ways is to be kind of tool agnostic. We will use whatever tool is necessary. We don't play favorites. Originally, we started off using Dall-E 2, and then Midjourney started happening, and we started using that. And then, of course, Stable Diffusion came out, and we started using that. And then Adobe's Firefly built into Photoshop. So ever since then, we've been using everything we can to kind of get the best results, including mixing the photography in. And Photoshop has been a big part of kind of like the centerpiece. Since we're photographers, it sort of just makes sense to use that as the primary way of mixing everything. Originally I'm from Idaho, but we both moved here to the Bay Area about 2 years ago, and we've been trying to kick off our photography, videography business here. And originally I was actually a drummer, and that's how we met. She was filming local bands in the area, and then we started doing this together. And if you want to.
So, I was born in Rome, Italy, so sorry for my accent. And I have 20 years of experience about photography, videography. I was director assistant for a big movie here in San Francisco. And then I have my degree in business and another one in cinema studies. And I started with AI because I was scared. And I was scared about my creativity, my job. We were talking together a lot about what we are doing now. And the process was very painful, but I really feel more confident right now that we have a workflow and why we should be really happy with the AI. The AI, it's just a tool. It's like the camera when come out for the first time. And everyone was thinking, painting still there. And our creativity, our ideas are there. And nobody can hack our brain. So what I would like to see is exactly what I did today with these AI images, that we can be creative how much we want, and there is someone else, AI, that do our jobs. And I know that this is my idea, I take all the responsibility about, but really, we don't need to be scared what I'm doing, because we are not our jobs. We are not what we are doing for living. We are more. So this is a good opportunity.
Yeah, and I think we both agree that, for now at least, that AI plus an artist is still better than just AI by itself. You know, a prompt can get you so far, but if you have a great idea and you work on it, that's sort of what we're going to show you, that you can take something, your idea, and then make it even better with a little bit of work. And to quote 2 Minute Papers, if you ever watch that, what a time to be alive, because you can do so much more now because AI can help us. So, and there's been, let me go to the next page here. There's been a lot of people asking us, oh, how are you going to make money, you know, or how do you make money? And so far we haven't made a lot specifically with AI, but you know, we've been building our portfolio for clients, and you know, probably 90% of the time we're like this meme we just saw that came out today, is enjoying it, you know, and doing it alone just for the joy of it. But that's why we're here, to show you that, you know, we're the product, and if you want to collaborate with us, or if you have any products that you would like us to demonstrate, you know, that we can actually make better with AI, feel free to hit us up after this. So, all right. So first slide here. So we're going to start off with showing you how we take a photo. In this case, this was a nice wedding at City Hall here in SF. And we basically replaced the background with something creative. So all this is just an edited photo. We adjusted the light levels and, you know, basically prepared it for the next step. So here we are taking it into Photoshop, and we basically asked Photoshop here to replace the background with a real simple prompt, futuristic, brutalist, romantic, walkway, backlit. And, you know, it did an all right job, but we kind of left it at that, knowing that we were going to take it into Stable Diffusion to do the upscaling and make it way more detailed, because what we can do there is very specifically prompt and match the resolution of what the camera is, because our camera is 50 megapixels. So usually most image generators start off at just 1K, and then to get it up to the level of the camera, you have to do quite a few steps to get it at that detail. So here we go. This is where we take it into Comfy UI, which is the way we've been using Stable Diffusion for a while now. And it kind of looks complicated, but actually it just gives you the freedom to control everything a lot more, and then come up with creative ways of mixing different methods. But basically here we load the image in, and then we pick a model, because there's a whole bunch of models you can choose from that have different styles and different ways of, you know, drawing an image. And then once we find it, we cherry pick the best result, and we're like, okay, that's great. And as you can see here, the prompt was similar, a minimalist, intricate, futuristic background with a bride and groom, photoreal, dramatic light, you know, real basic prompt. You don't have to spend a lot of time on the prompt in Stable Diffusion, because you can really work on it a lot to get it to where you want. So here's what we ended up with, and you'll notice the bride and groom are different now. These aren't real. These are fake people. But that's fine, because since we're mixing it with photography, we don't have to worry about bad hands or, you know, any strange anatomy, because we're going to just put the real people over the top of it. But what we get with that is it figures out the reflections here, and it integrates it into the photo in a way that it kind of would be more difficult otherwise. And so this is a simple upscaling method that we've been using. It separates the image into tiles, and then basically the native resolution, like I said, 1K or 1024, it renders a Stable Diffusion generation using image to image. And really, like, this is the key to what makes Stable Diffusion so powerful, is image to image. It's the only one where you can set this value right here, which is the denoise. And depending on where you set this, it either makes the image exactly the same, or it completely hallucinates something new based on another prompt that you put in. And so, once you find that perfect value of the denoise, then you can kind of say, okay, this is where it is. You cherry pick your best result that doesn't change it too much and cause hallucinations, but it's also getting your desired prompt based on the original image. So now we got that, we got it cherry picked. We brought it into Photoshop here, and the next step here basically is to start integrating the photo with it. Now, a lot of this is kind of like simple Photoshop techniques, and we don't go into like all of the details here of all of the Photoshop stuff we've done, because a lot of that stuff you can like find on YouTube, and there's a creativity to it. Everybody has a different way of doing it. But in this case, it's pretty basic. Like, we took that initial photo, and since now Photoshop has built into it AI tools that can help you remove the background, it actually uses it to detect where the subject is. It's not a 100% solution, so you end up having to tweak things and make it better, but it can get you like 90% of the way there. And so then you notice they don't have legs, right? Well, that was intentional because what we can do, so here's the before and after. So what you'll see here is, like I said, the reflections are integrated, and the backlighting look is integrated, and all that helps into making it not look like it's photoshopped, like it's popping out and two images together, It looks like it's all taken together, like one image. And you'll notice how when they didn't have their legs in the last image, now they have legs. Well, these legs are actually AI legs. And you just gently fade it with Photoshop to the point where it blends perfectly. And again, like these contact shadows here by the feet, that's something that the AI figures it out all. You don't have to do much work, it kind of handles that for you. So this is the second example. I had my birthday a couple weeks ago, and she went to a local bakery called the French Spot, right? French Spot, yeah. And we recommend it, it's really great.
It's not a sponsor.
Yeah, but definitely go. So you can see this delicious cake. This was her idea. Like, she has many ideas for Stable Diffusion images, but basically she asked them to do chocolate notes and create that almost kind of like something she would have made. And so they pulled it off really well, but then we're like, oh, well, what, we don't have a studio or anything. We just put it on our back porch and took a photo of it on this nice table here. It's not the most interesting background, so we're like, okay, how can we spice this up? So we said, okay, let's make our cake sitting in Venice, Italy. And this method was a little bit different than the last one, so we used something called ControlNet, which in this case has a bunch of different ways of controlling the image when you're going from one image to the next. This is called a depth map. And so the AI looks at the image and it says, this is the foreground where it's white, and this is the background where it's black. And that really locks the image down. And as you can see over here in these different examples, the cake almost looks identical to the real cake. It's very close. It kind of hallucinated its own details, but again, it doesn't matter because we're just gonna put the real photo over the top. So we ended up picking this one because it looked kind of the best. It has the granite and it has the most realistic looking gondolas in the background in Venice. She would know because she's been there. I haven't. So comes the next phase. We bring it into Photoshop. We got our cherry picked result, but then we're like, what's this strange thing here? Oh, well, let's fix that. So Photoshop has a great new tool that uses generative AI that's basically, it's the removal tool, but it can kind of do it intelligently. And this has like been a game changer for this process. Before you had to use a healing brush and do a bunch of different techniques. But now you can kind of just say, fix it and paint over a spot. So this region here is what we painted over to kind of add some consistency to the table. And then the next step was to, kind of like the last photo, we blend the real picture, and we left out the entire bottom part because it actually looked pretty good. And it was easier to blend it in this way rather than trying to cut it so precisely. So it's just kind of like a soft fade. And then it didn't quite match the background so well. There was a lot of strange artifacts around the edge. So we just used that removal tool again to paint out all of the strange artifacts and make it blend into the image better. And so there's the result. I don't know if it's kind of hard to see, but here's before and after. If you look around the edge of the cake, there's like kind of little glowing aliasing artifacts that made it really easy for Photoshop. You just probably took, what, like 5 minutes to paint over everything that looks strange. And then now it looks like it's sitting on a table in Venice. And you can see here the bottom part of the cake and all this. This is AI, but then it fades up into the real photo. And so, you know, this is kind of like what we would say is a pretty good demonstration for product photography, food photography. You can take your actual product with a photo and without a studio and just make the background whatever you want. And also very high resolution. Again, we're matching 50 megapixel here, which is something, was 8,600 pixels by like 6,500. So a lot more than what you get out of Midjourney or anything just by default. And then, so the last step here, the AI tends to make a really clean, smooth image. And you'll notice that the photo has this grainy noise. Well, we actually fake the noise on the AI image and add it back in so that it matches. And this is something built into Photoshop with the raw filter, and it's called grain, so it's designed to look like film grain. And generally, you can match it to look pretty realistically. And that's, you know, you wouldn't notice it unless you're pixel peeping or if you print it very large. But we feel like it just kind of adds that extra little detail to make it look realistic. And there's the final result. So, and here was another one we did, different angle. We wanted to make it look more like, you know, food photography kind of stuff. And so this was actually done primarily, again, in Photoshop using their Firefly background replacement. But the cherries didn't look so great, the wood wasn't so awesome, so we took it back to Stable Diffusion, upscaled it, and then the cherries and everything tended to look way more realistic afterwards. So we kind of use them both together oftentimes, especially for something that's going to be sharp and in focus. Stable Diffusion can really add that detail back in. Okay, on to this final one for this section. Recently, local bar in the marina hired us for some photography of their special cocktails. It's called For the Record. Really cool place if you want to try it out. Yeah. And so he didn't ask us to do any AI, but once again, we're like, okay, let's do one for him, just so we can build a portfolio and show them, kind of match their theme, which is like retro, you know, vinyl records kind of theme that they've got going on. So first thing we did is we used Ideogram, and if you haven't heard of this, highly recommend it. If you've used Midjourney or Dall-E, Ideogram, I would say, is somewhere between those two. It has very good prompt coherence, meaning it can do complex prompts. It can do text and photography. It can do all sorts of things. And one of its strengths here is the magic prompt. So it actually uses ChatGPT to augment what you put in, which is right here, what we put in, and then it adds more details based on what it thinks you want. And most of the time it works out really well. And you can turn it off if you want to see what it comes out. But you can see it made a pretty decent photo here. It looks great. But once again, we're gonna put the real photo over the top. So part of our upscaling workflow to get it up to the higher resolution is this program called Gigapixel AI by Topaz. And we've been using them for years because it's like a photographer's centric kind of upscaling tool. They also have denoisers and different tools for photography. But as you can see, it took this low resolution image and did a pretty good job at upscaling on its own. And then, so the next step is we bring that upscale into Photoshop. And you can see it changed the bottom of the glass and it made this record here. But we thought, oh, this background is a little busy, so let's change that out. So we used Adobe Firefly again in Photoshop. We're like, okay, that looks a little more aesthetically pleasing. Not quite there. Okay, there, that's what we were looking for, right? Just one more center that we highlighted here to say, okay, add some more lights. And then the next step is to add the real photo in. So that's blended in. But we used the bottom half with the AI glass here so that we didn't get that coaster and the table, because the table you would have been able to see it through the glass. So this just makes it so much easier to just use the AI glass at the bottom. And then there's the final result.
Yeah, also for the reflection, if there is a reflection in the eye, it's better to conserve the first part of the bottom, so you don't see nothing weird. You don't are going to see another reflection that can attract attention. Yep.
And this is an example of that we didn't use Stable Diffusion at all in this workflow. Didn't need it. Because oftentimes when the background's blurry, it makes it look weird anyway because it can't handle the
Yeah.
blurriness. So it's like Photoshop did fine here. So we thought that was fine. Added
Yeah.
the film grain and that was done. And so, okay, so here's a new example. So we're talking about AI plus photography. And photography brings something to the table that we believe AI can never do, because sometimes you want to look at something that's actually real, you know? No matter how good AI gets, it won't be real. You know, you can't catch an actual moment to happen in real life. You might be able to replicate it, but this is the opposite. We're like, well, this is something that only we can do with AI, so we'll walk you through this workflow. So again, we started out with ideogram here. And I don't know if you want to kind of come up with your idea of what you had here.
Yeah, the idea was a poster, but also an advertiser for a food, and that can combine something very strange, extravaganza, if you want. So I was looking for Dall-E, or something.
Salvador Dall-E, the
Yeah,
painter.
the
Yeah.
painter, or I was looking for some Renaissance look. So I started with this idea. I put an easy prompt. I also put the prompt usually in ChatGPT, so can give me more details about the idea. I ask for background, for lights, and details. And then, of course, come ideogram with these 4 options.
Yep, and this was the best one we decided. It's almost perfect, except you'll notice the text ain't so good. There's some gibberish. So sometimes it nails the text first try. You don't have to do anything, but in this case, we cleaned it up in Photoshop. And so the next step here was similar to the last one, where we took it into gigapixel, upscaled it, and it's already looking pretty good, right? I mean, in some ways it's done, but you can take it to the next level. So this is what we would call targeted in-painting. Basically, here's a cannoli, or cannolo, because it's just one. And you select it in Photoshop, you cut out a slice, you take it through image to image in Stable Diffusion, cherry pick the best result, and then there you go. As you can see, added a lot more detail. It's creamier.
Yeah,
It
creamy.
was very important. Had to be very creamy. And then we're like, okay, well, what about Dall-E here? It doesn't really look like Salvador Dall-E. And, you know, this could look better, his feathers, his hat. So this was the first pass we did. You can see here we selected the square. This is what we export and then take into Stable Diffusion. And then, boom, that's what it came up with. Of course, that was cherry-picked. Probably 10 different faces. Faces are a little harder. You got to work on it a little bit. But then we're like, well, it doesn't really look like Dall-E still. So we did one more, and that's what it came up with. We really prompted Salvador Dall-E that time. You can see he's got the funny mustache. Well, it's almost good, but we noticed that, well, first, actually, let me just show you how we masked his face. So there's the slice we took out. And then there's the blend layer, how it blended in with the below image. And then here, you'll notice his eyes changed. That was actually done in Photoshop because we thought that the Stable Diffusion eyes were a little scary. Didn't quite look right. And Photoshop nailed it. This was actually the latest version of it's Firefly version 3 now, and it does a really good job at this. As long as you don't have to do a whole image where it's like, you know, thousands of pixels, it really gets the detail. So we're almost there. We thought, oh, these gloves looking a little rough, looking a little AI there. Didn't make much sense here. So there was one pass that we thought looked great for the glove. Intricate little laces there, nailed it. And of course, well, there's the other glove. Got to do that one too. I think we actually had an argument. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
it's fine. She's like, no, do it. Make it better. And so, boom, better glove. And you'll notice the vase here also got an upgrade. See? And we're like, okay, we'll just blend that in because it looks better. Why not? And then it was like, well, what about the top of the vase? It looks a little broken. And so once again, back to using Adobe, it fixed it. And like I think we did 6 generations here.
Yeah.
And this one we decided looked the best. So there we go. There's the final result. This is basically just what came out of ideogram. Was pretty good, could have worked, but there's always something you can do to make it better. And honestly, the more we look at the image, it's like, oh, I could have fixed the necklace. You know, you can work on it for days and days if you want to make it perfect. But that looks definitely better than the original result. So it's kind of fun, you know. You never know what's going to come up when you're doing this process. So now I think we're going to go ahead and just kind of go through a few different examples of some other portfolio stuff we've done. So she says, quote, "I lose my mind for food." And she's got like 6,000 ideas of food photography that she's done. And this is purely AI stuff. I don't know, was this Stable Diffusion or?
Ideogram.
Oh yeah, ideogram first, upscale in Stable Diffusion with in-painting, similar to what we just showed you. This was actually real photography that we did for a client. She was selling Christmas ornaments, but then she's like, oh, I don't like the color. This was the table that it was photographed on. It was a wooden table. We're like, oh, no problem. Adobe can do that in a second now, you know? So this is what we swapped it out with, this white granite, and it even came up with reflections. So it ended up, you know, looking pretty real. Here's another one of our cute food ideas is avocado toast man with the bacon necktie. And that one we actually worked on quite a bit to get it to look realistic. And this one's actually quite interesting because this is Midjourney, the latest version, and it did great. Like if you looked at the output of Midjourney, it's like, okay, that's perfect, but we wanted to upscale it. And I don't know if you guys have heard of, how many, show of hands, who knows what a LoRa is? Nobody? Oh, we got one. So a LoRa is like a modification in Stable Diffusion. It works on other types of models as well, but in the case of Stable Diffusion, it's like if you want to target something specifically, in this case, bread, she used a LoRa specifically for bread. So when we did the upscaling, she prompted the bread. And you can see, like, you can zoom way in and it still looks real, you know? I think this is, what, 6,000 pixel image?
Yes.
Something like that. So it's a lot more detailed than the original. And it just adds to that subtle detail that makes it look real. This was another, I don't know, you want to talk a bit about this?
Yeah, this is a concept food, or better is for a product, similar product with a different option. So basically, I did the first pass in ideogram, and then I completely redo the background with Firefly in Photoshop. And of course, I use Stable Diffusion again for the creamy and the pastry texture.
Yeah. So I think we're getting short on time, so we're going to go ahead and go back and just kind of go back to the slideshow here. We've got a loop out video that has some QR codes if you guys want to scan them. So we've got a few, some of them are for Instagram page. This is actually for our wedding page here. So if you know anyone getting married or if you want to do family photography, doesn't have to have an AI photo, but we'll just throw one in there just for fun. And we can take some questions.
I was going to say we might be a little bit out of time for questions, but you guys will be here for networking.
Yeah,
so
you can talk to us for networking.
Hit Hilly and Willy up for all of your questions.
Yeah.
That was awesome, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Here's. Great. So next up, we have Greg Aper, and he is from Superunknown Studios, and he's going to be talking to us about the next-gen AI design methods and techniques. Ready to go?
All right, let's
All
get
set.
this thing rolling.
Cool.
Yeah. All right, thank you everybody here in the studio audience and everybody that's playing along at home. My name is Greg Aper. I am a designer now going on almost 25 years. That's kind of rough to say. Let's go through some things about me real quick. This is the boring stuff. I think it kind of explains me a little bit if you think of it that my father basically had 2 magazine subscriptions as I was a little boy, National Geographic and Popular Science. And that kind of sums up everything that you see here. One of the things that's a little bit different about me as opposed to some of the other designers that are exploring AI that are really, really good, they're really pushing the boundaries. I started talking about this back in 2016. It was the first time I had given up sort of a public talk about the usage of AI and creativity. And I got one question, and the question was about Terminator and Skynet. And the rest of it was just crickets. And I talk about it sometimes now, and I still get some crickets sometimes. But I'm an AI geek, honestly, from way back. And a lot of my clients, companies come to me right now because I have the scars and they don't have the time to understand or learn about this stuff. And I have no life. This is what I do, so this is what I love. And that's why they come to me. And fast forward to today, I got lucky, is that my future caught up with my present. And we have sort of a convergence, and AI became a tangible tool to use for design. And so I do 3 different things right now, basically, from a professional level. I do this. I travel a lot around the world to give talks, workshops at conferences, on-site events for corporations. I also give individual classes and training remotely for individuals, design studios. I love it. I mean, if people are willing to sit there for a couple of hours and listen to me just totally geek out, or like a couple weeks ago for 8 hours, yeah, I'll take it if I can keep people engaged that long. I also do hourly consulting where studios or companies just have me come in, and a lot of times it's about AI adoption right now, right? It's integration with personal processes and business operations. And then I also do projects where I'm just exploring, I'm trying to push the boundaries in a lot of different ways. Concept design for automobiles, UI design, doing design for packaging, brands. The other half is that I live on 15 acres secluded woods in the Sierra Nevadas, and I see people face to face typically twice a week, maybe. You can see some of my coworkers here. We got the window washer. That's literally arm's length away from where I'm sitting, and she can't see through the window, but she knows something's there. And then I've also found over the years working with AI, and I think you're going to see this more and more, is that there are emotional side effects if you begin to work in it too much. It's not just tech fatigue. I have worked with companies, designers, and clients. I've already seen some cases right now where people start to get into it, use it significantly. They have cases of insomnia, vivid dreams, nauseousness. One of the things that can help alleviate that is you don't just go outside and take a walk, like you actually connect with nature a little bit. It definitely helps for me. I walk out, I have no cell connection. I mean, I have to disconnect. I have no choice. It helps me remember the natural world. I live in an artificial world. I push the boundaries of artificial intelligence. Helps keep me grounded. So this evening what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at some of the next generation techniques that would not have been possible without AI. I'm not really interested in trying to copy what I can do. It's banal, it's boring. I've done it. I've done it for 25 years, way too often. I'm interested in pushing the boundaries. I'm interested in what we can potentially do with artificial intelligence. I'm not interested in theory. I'm not interested in white papers. I'm interested in actually testing techniques, tools, real world. I'm interested to push it as much as I can. Let's break it. Let's find out what the weaknesses are. And tonight we're going to take a look at some of those techniques, and we're going to do it in the context of a 4-day experience design sprint. My design compadre, Hector Rodriguez, and we said, what can we do in 4 days from scratch? We wake up on a Monday morning, let's just have an idea. Okay, the idea was, let's create a total brand product experience for a company that does e-bike safety gear and just e-bike apparel altogether. What can we do in 4 days? Before we get started though, there's a few ground rules. I would say these are requirements. If you want to be able to use AI effectively for design work, these are some mindset characteristics, some of the psychology that you have to do this. There's a misperception. This is really big, that the superpower of AI, as we apply it to creativity, as we apply it to applied arts and design, is that we're going to have AI do these sort of rote tasks. It's going to be that sort of junior designer in our pocket, right? Or our clone that's doing all of this work that we don't really want to do as creatives. Yes, it can do that, but that's commodity. You know, what we need is, we need people to start thinking about it, is that, okay, it can do those things, but that's status quo, okay? It is the equivalent of overseas manufacturing. Great technology. You're not sure if somebody's giving it the same information, are they getting the same answers? So is it bespoke, is it custom? Not really. Also, if you ask them to do an original idea, don't bank on it. Can't be done, okay? You want to do real innovation, it starts with what's in your head as a designer, your intuition, your ideas. And this is also a really prevalent mindset. And I have classes sometimes with teams where not everyone is there voluntarily. And you hear a lot of people say, well, you know, this can't replace people. It's not, it's just all superficial. This is an awful misperception. And to be quite honest with you, it's a mindset. If this is your mindset, you've lost before you've even started. Because it gives this expectation as a tool that's going to work right away, and it's magic. And the reality is that some of the things that you're going to see this evening that I put up, the presenters that went before me, there's a lot of work that goes into learning how to use those tools. AI is a lot like applied arts and design. It's 90% science, it's 10% voodoo. There's a lot of people that also have a tough time saying, well, I don't really have the time to get into it, or I'm overwhelmed, or there's this mental hurdle where I'm used to some of these tools, but I'm not really a technology whiz. And the really nice thing about AI is that it's unprecedented as far as a technology in human history, okay? How proficient you are with it is not a matter of your IQ. It's not a matter of technical lessons. It's a matter of EQ. Getting better at using AI for design is about patience, it's about imagination, and it's about curiosity. I teach designers all over the world, and I have been for the past year. These are 3 characteristics I see over and over and over again. They come into it engaged. They don't expect results to happen immediately. They're patient with it. It's like interacting sometimes with a very precocious, genius, talented kindergartner, okay? You know it's there, you know the potential's there, but you kind of got to pull it out in a way that the kindergartner understands, and you got to be patient too. Imagination, and when I say imagination, I don't mean imagination for what can be done. What I mean is imagination about how to use the tools. This is a mindset that's really important. There's so many ways to use these AI tools. It's really only bound by your imagination. If it can't do something that you have in mind, ask it a different way. Take a different approach. Give it an image instead of words. And then curiosity. This is a big one too. It just kind of powers these other two things. I see a lot of the designers that are really good and they pick up AI really quickly and begin to turn it into something that is bespoke for them, okay? They'll take examples of what's out there and then very quickly they've modified it to what their personal needs are. It's that curiosity. They're not afraid to be wrong. They just keep asking questions. Why? Why? Why did you do this? Why did you do this? Over. And they rabbit hole, and they get really good at it. This is kind of a final thing, too, that this is a really basic mindset, and it has a lot to do with conceptualization, is there's this kind of idea, okay, it's going to be this like little prepackaged, it's going to give me a response, text, visual. There's my answer, I just plug and play. Using AI for design, the best usage of it is, don't ever think of it as it's giving you complete answers. The best thing to think about is it's helping you discover questions. All right, let's get into some techniques. We're going to talk first about design GPTs, and really just GPTs in general, but they are constructed, pre-engineered in a way that makes them focused on design. Just really quickly, I'm not going to get into the weeds here, but GPTs, generative pre-trained transformers, high level. The best way to think about GPTs within a large language model like Chat is you have the chance to set up specialists that can be different types of programmed entities that help you concentrate on different areas of design. The best way to think about this is within context. I use basically 4 different types of GPTs. So an automation GPT, which with Chat is actually not as easy as you would think it would be. You say, well, large language models, AI, automation, and that's what they do really well. That's what they're supposed to do really well. Chat's algorithms make it want to be conversational. It doesn't like to do a lot of things in order without stopping to go, are we good? Are we good? Okay. Can we continue? Right. Okay. So kind of sweet talking Chat in a way to do automation can be done, and we'll take a look at that in a minute. An assistant, okay, just a generalist. I may say, I want an experienced design assistant. Not a lot of instructions, not a lot of detail. You're just asking them to be knowledgeable in different areas of design, and you just want to bounce ideas back and forth. Task specific, ideation. Having an ideation partner. You'll want to set up its character as a good improv partner, always bouncing big things back to you. You may say, every time you give me an answer, come back with a question. And you just keep going back and back and back and forth. Project specific. I know design agencies, this is something that they're already doing, contract designers, freelance designers as well. The first thing they do when they get a project request, an RFP, is they set up a project-specific GPT. I think this is probably going to be the biggest trend that you'll see as far as usage of AI with small agencies. I've had classes and taught some agencies to set up GPTs for proposals, and after an investment in training, what took them 3 days now takes them about 3 hours. Same level of quality, even figuring out rates, timelines. And I mean, what designer wants to be doing those things? So that is a good example of replacing rote tasks. So what I want to do is we're going to skip out of this real quick, and we're going to take a look at a GPT. And we're going to take a look at a GPT specifically that is a combination of automation, task specific, as well as being an assistant. One of the things I encourage designers to think about GPTs when you set them up is don't just think of them as an assistant to be socialized. I set this GPT up because my weakness as a designer, and it has been for years, is simply getting started, just lighting a creative fire and getting going. I have severe ADHD, and so my mind just doesn't want to focus. I would start maybe with a sentence, and then there's something there's a little chew toy over there, anything to really get going. So this was set up to turn a weakness into a strength. This was set up to help me start asking questions instead of finding answers. Let's go underneath the hood real quick and see what we've got going. Let's just go ahead and kick it off too, and we can talk about it a little bit. So I have an idea for an app that teaches people. And for those of you playing along at home, the prompt here is I have an idea for an app that teaches people how to cook ethnic cuisines. So we're just going to light the fire on it real quick. And you're going to see it's going to go through a series of automated steps of design methods. And if we look underneath the hood here, what we've got going on is a combination of a lot of pre-engineered prompt techniques. We've got wake words or key phrases. Anytime a user types in the words, I have an idea, bang, it sets off a series of automated steps. And then we're using formatting, we're using examples. We're having it do 6 steps in a row, create an objective statement, initial insights, trends, competitive analysis, ideal customer profiles, and then basic user personas. All right? And it's in the middle of the competitive analysis right now. These steps are sequential, right? And they're dependent, the same way you would think of a designer, okay? You wouldn't go in and say, let's develop a user persona without even knowing what our objective statement is, okay? Each time it goes through a step, it's considering what's come before, and it's building, and it's building. So we can use automation, and then just really quickly, think about this as, again, this is not your answer. I mean, if you don't like where this went in just a couple of minutes, you say, let's just regenerate that. What we're doing is we're attaching a front end here of quick secondary research, quick thought starters, but it's a concept now. It's a concept that can be regenerated endlessly. And I mean, how long did that take? Okay, a couple of minutes. So we have some basic information really quickly, right? And it's because it's sequential, we can at least say we're developing a baseline in reality. Again, this is not a final concept, it's a thought starter. But then how can we use AI to take that and say we've got just these user personas, all right, yeah, demographics, pretty banal, pretty boring. How can we use AI to very quickly grow that out into something that's rich and meaningful? You saw there it developed ideal customer profiles. Again, pretty generic, it's just giving us a nickname for a profile, basic demographics. From that, the GPT also created user personas. But again, very basic user personas. 2 or 3 sentences, bio. It gave us some personality characteristics, some ethnicity, age, location. This happens to be from the Exemplar project. I did not set it up that Tina was a marketing executive in San Francisco. It just kind of happened. So now we have this information. What can we do with this to start building out Tina's persona? One of the things is we can start developing short stories, and we can develop a short story around Tina's personality. So let's go back to our GPT, right? We've got that basic information. We've got user personas. Let's go and find a user persona to start building out their personality a little bit. And we'll take Emily. So we're going to say, create personality for Emily. Again, it's going to look at that information that came previously from her user persona, and then it's going to act like a creative writer. And we need it to act like a creative writer because we need a rich description. Great. Now we've sort of built out her persona, And one of the things that you'll notice in here is we're specifically looking at a conversational personality. What is it like to have a conversation with Emily? We'll take a look at why we did that in just a second. The other thing that we can do is we can then do a day in the life as well, a short story, and build out what does Tina's day look like. So let's go back to our GPT. We've got Emily's conversational personality, and let's just ask it to create a story for Emily. Again, we're asking it to be a creative writer because we want a rich description. And the other thing that we want to have happen in this day in the life is not just to give detail to the personality, but we want activities. We want to know what is Emily doing during the course of the day, and we want scenes. So now we're setting up the next couple of steps. What can we do with a conversational personality? First of all, with a conversational personality, we can use chat voice, and we can use chat voice to do an AI interview. This is why we did a conversational personality. We load the user persona, we load the conversational personality, and we load a day in the life for, in this case, Emily, and then we use that as our character script. In this case, my AI assistant within chat, Emma, I ask Emma to role play, okay? And then we'll say, Emma, are you ready? I'm gonna give you this information. Here's day in the life. Here's conversational personality. Here's user persona. Are you ready to play Emily? Yeah, let's do it, let's go. You got an AI generated interview script? Great, you just go through all of that. What difference does it make developing conversational personalities? Okay, from a high level, I don't need you to read these words. These are the interview transcripts for 6 different personalities. They're asked the same questions and the same amount of questions. And just by the volume of the answers here, you can see the impact that a conversational personality has. In this case, Sarah, Tina, very verbose, much more descriptive. I can tell you right now, Emily was a really tough interview, okay? It was just like trying to pull teeth. We have a day in the life. Okay, now what can we do with that information to help build out our personas? Let's go back to Emily, and let's ask it to create prompts for Emily. One of the reasons we asked it to be a creative writer and develop those scenes, what is that information great for? It's great for mining Midjourney prompts. So now we have different prompts that are taken directly from the chat day in the life. So you can see here, one of the things that AI allows us to do is, you know, you've always heard this sort of, oh, designers are storytellers. Oh, really? Because I've never really seen it happen in real life. Not to this sort of level. But now we've got prompts, all right? And what can we do with those prompts? Well, we can start developing Tina's day in the life. We can take each one of those scenes. We can use character reference within Midjourney then to be creating character consistency. We'll load those prompts in directly, and as we start to build more images of Tina with character consistency, using the CREF feature, we can build out all of those scenes of what Tina's day in the life was. She gets up, she's doing yoga. She hops on her bike, getting ready to ride to work, bosses it at work, right? Spends, weekends, let's go to an outdoor cafe. Oh yeah, and she's living in San Francisco too. So very quickly, you begin to use Midjourney, learn how to do this, learn how to do GPTs. No joke, you can have this in a couple of hours. The other process I want to take a look at is going even further than this. One of the great things about AI that you can do from a concepting standpoint is you can create context. It's taking that story even further. Really, what we're doing now with the imagery from a persona standpoint and also from a design concept standpoint is we're illustrating stories. We're illustrating about people. And as you get into this, definitely as I got into this, it surprised me how much more I had to think about the human and the people than I ever did before, because I was trying to help describe to a technology what human life was like. We can develop visual design languages as well, just to give us a starting point. Because now we have information about Emily, in this case, we have information about the brands, we have information about her life, her lifestyle. So let's create a VBL for Emily. It pulls from that information. So now our visual brand language, matter of minutes, is connected directly to Emily, the persona, and the lifestyle. And again, basic. I'm asking it for basic descriptors. Give me a color palette, give me some hexadecimal colors, give me some font pairing choices, give me some illustration styles. In the case of our exemplar project, what did that result in? Well, this is 8 months ago, but this was Chat's first swing at it. And damn, it was a pretty good first swing. I was floored. Yes, you have to do some manual translation. But if you go into this, you look at the color palette, the illustration style here, minimalistic, flat, abstract art, wavy patterns of crimson blaze, sunset gold, azure haze, topographic line work. And then we ask it to just create pattern swatches in Midjourney. It's pretty damn close, okay? So now we have a VBL, we have some brand assets, we have an illustration style. What can we do with this? Well, we also have imagery style that Chat has given us with the visual design language, brand language. Urban energetics, it's a good little nickname. We have orange tones dominate, imagery, warmth, nostalgic feel, blurred vision, or blurred imagery. So we've got this. We also have vivid color palette comes to life, fiery reds, golden yellows, changing times of day. Yeah, let's put those into Midjourney and let's start developing some imagery based off of that. It's pretty damn close. What else can we do with it? In this case, our brand experience, we need products. So let's start applying our brand, our color palette to products. Let's build these products out. And in this case, we designed some helmets, we designed some apparel, we got the brand to go with it. Now here's the really great thing. Let's take Tina. Let's make Tina not only our user, but our hero. Let's start with her images. We've got her day in the life. We're building out different parts of her day. In parallel, we're building out our brand. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna start creating context. Tina is gonna become part of the design concepts. So first, all we're concerned about is Tina herself, okay? Yes, we want a jacket, we want it stylized with our brand, but first we're gonna concentrate on getting Tina in different imagery, and then we're gonna start using our designs as character references. We're gonna highlight the different regions, and now it's Tina's fashion show, right? And the other nice thing is, hey, we know she lives in San Francisco. We know she's on a bike. Let's put her on Highway 1. Let's put the Golden Gate in the back. And it just does this, okay? I'm not specifying Golden Gate. I'm not specifying Highway 1. But now we have a really nice, rich brand story to tell. And then we can bring that all together because in parallel, now we have the concept enhanced imagery, we have a color palette. We have typography. We have brand assets from an illustration standpoint. Great. Let's do a digital presence. And let's use AI tools to put all of this into responsive designed wireframes. And at the end of Thursday workday, this is what we had. So I think, though, the very big lesson here, though, is yes, we did this in 4 days. It took us 6 months to put the framework together to be able to execute this. Now, can we put any idea into the system, feed it into the hopper, and get this? Yeah. But it takes every bit of our experience, our intuition as designers, to be able to set up the framework to do this and to be the design director. I can tell you right now, if you don't have the background to do this, you can never wield a tool like this in order to get these types of results. And the final thing that I'll say is AI by default is downhill thinking, okay? It just does what's logical. It's taking a lot of cloud data. It's analyzing it and saying, yeah, based on what I've seen documented here. Humans are uphill thinking, okay? We go sensible, sensible, sensible. Screw this, I'm gonna do something with my heart, right? That's how we think. That's the hot mess of human life. AI is never gonna do that. And that's why you need to be along for the ride, is somewhere along that ride, you're gonna say, my intuition, I know what you're telling me, but I want to take a swing for the fences, right? And that's where having that sort of heart, soul as a designer, the age of AI really becomes an age of intuition and using that and executing to get something like this. Thank you for AI for designers for having me. Thank you for playing along at home, and thank you for the studio audience.
Great, thank you so much, Greg. We do not have time for questions, but I know I'll be asking you so many afterwards. Thank you. Great, so next up we will have Rodney, and Rodney will be showing us how to augment your on-brand stock photos. So we'll just take a couple of seconds to get set up.
Check, check. Thank you. Cool. All right, good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me. My name is Rodney Lewis. I recently founded my own agency, Sprints. I'll be sharing more about that later. But today I'm here to share with you guys my process on creating and refreshing on-brand stock photos, leveraging Midjourney, a little bit of ChatGPT. Let's get started. Yeah, and so we'll start with the intro, and then I'm gonna give you guys an overview of Midjourney. I think most of you guys have used it at this point, but I'm gonna be real one-on-one with this just in case you haven't. And then get right into the workflow demo, which should be the bulk of my presentation, and then Q&A, hopefully. Yeah, so about me, Rodney, I'm from Oakland. I've been working for almost 9 years now, building B2B marketing websites. Previous companies I've worked at include Pindo, Care Fertility, Revel Systems, and like I mentioned, I just founded my own agency, Sprints. And you can scan the QR code if you want to connect. All right, so we'll jump right into it. So Midjourney is pretty simple. Most of you guys should know what this is by now, but it is pretty much the easiest and most complex of the tools that I would say is available for people. And they're making an effort to move out of Discord, which should allow for a lot more possibilities with the tool. So the basics here, right? So imagine is the prompt that we use to feed Midjourney prompts, right? And so you describe what you want using Imagine, and it'll produce an image. You can also provide an image to Midjourney and use the describe prompt, right, to pull out the context of the image so that you can use that to improve your prompts moving forward. And so one of the big, the web browser kind of makes it easier, but while it was in Discord, one of the big features that I think that people weren't using were the parameters. And with the parameters, it really opens it up and allows you to do a lot more than you've had with just the words that you can throw in there. And so one of the big ones, especially for designers, is going to be the aspect ratio. Chaos is pretty cool. It will allow you to change up increase the variability within the 4 squares that it returns on your initial prompt. And then one of my favorites is the Style Raw, to just give you a more high res image. In general, I think the images turn out better when you style raw. And the big one, especially for on brand, especially if you want to try to create a scenario where it does appear like you conducted a whole photo shoot, you're going to want to learn character reference and how to use character weight. This ensures that you get the consistency of those characters throughout the images, essentially giving you AI models that you can use throughout the different photos that you plan on using on your website. And the demo that we get into is going to be very specific to websites. I know that people might want to use this for other marketing assets, and that's totally possible. My specialty is websites, and so that's what I'm going to talk about today. Yeah, so this is an overview of the parameters. And so those are the super basics. I think that these, I'm going to call this 102. This is like the pro stuff that really will allow you to leverage Midjourney and start to get some super good results. I don't know if you guys are noticing this too, but this is a continuation of that original image that I was showing back there. This is with some variation in the prompt, and so you'll start to see how the characters here are a little bit different. But yeah, so like image prompting is really cool. So if I provided image, if I have a stock image that I want to start with, I can feed that to Midjourney and then reference that URL to maintain some consistency there, or just to kind of use as a starting point for the images that I want to go on to generate. The no is awesome because it allows you to exclude things, and so we're calling them hallucinations. The AI likes to hallucinate sometimes, and so you might end up with a cat in the middle of the office, which I guess in San Francisco isn't that weird. And then permutations are really cool. So this is probably one of the more advanced, this is the most advanced feature that I'm going to cover today, but it does allow you to create variations of the image that you're going to generate and do it in a single prompt, which leads us to batching, right? And so batching, as you can see here in the tile, this is all based off a single prompt, but using permutation, repeat, and some of these other advanced features, I was able to generate 12 unique images, all kind of based around a central theme, which will allow us then to, this is how I create the whole Photoshop or photo shoot effect. And if I did like some of these characters, I could use the character weight to lock that in. But this is how, ultimately, this is a process that's going to save us time, especially if you got a large project that you got a whole B2B website that could be 40 plus pages that you want to generate hero images for. Batching is going to be the quickest way to, get that started. And so I'm going to be sharing with you guys this prompt that I started, or that I've actually worked on. Not always cut and dry, drop the prompt in and run away with awesome photos. There's most of the time you're going to need to tweak it, and so this is going to get us started. These are just some things. The Ultra 4K and photorealistic have been two things that I've used consistently that just makes, it cuts out a lot of the nonsense and makes it so that the hallucinations are more within range for me. And as you'll see, also I called out Style Raw, which is my favorite. The chaos level, chaos is cool. And then if you see underneath here, this is how we'll use permutations to vary the chaos level. So you'll see in the responses while we demo that each of the tiles is going to be distinctly different based on the amount of chaos that we've allowed for it. And then I just chose no windows, but we can play with that as well. And this R is one of my favorites. This is the repeat, and it allows it to then batch this up 3 times. Ultimately, this prompt is going to produce 12 different results for us to pick for our initial photo to then refine some more. And so if you guys are ready, we will jump into the playground. It is demo time. All right. And so does anybody have a brand that they would like to refresh the photos for? I have something that I've been playing with, but a little crowd participation would always be fun. Anyone? Yes, sir. Google. I feel like that one's gonna be anything niche. A company that somebody in the crowd may not work at, that is a little bit smaller, maybe. Don't. Okay. We'll be able to find them online? No? Yes? All right. I'm going to go with my stashed one here real quick, just to kick it off, and then hopefully we'll have time, and hopefully we'll get to play with some of your guys' ideas as well. And so I will typically start. So one of the things that I think is critical, it's going to be super helpful for like any of this, is that we have brand guidelines and like a stock photo to start with, right? And so we could jump on any of the stock photos sites that many of us have spent way too much of our life on scrolling on. But I'm just going to start with some Midjourney stuff that I have, also because it'll give me a URL. And so, bang. I'm going to stick to using the web browser for this just because I think that is going to be the most user-friendly version. But yeah, so we can jump into here. Down here in the bottom right, they've added all these lovely options for us, right? And so with this one, I don't really like these models, but we're going to go ahead and reference this image in this new Imagine prompt. This is pretty much the same scene. How do I want to vary this? All right, I'm not going to do it this way. We're going to go back to Discord because I think this is going to be quicker. No, I don't want to do Discord. All right. I practiced using Discord, and now I'm in the web browser. It's changing things. So let's. All right, so the brand that we're going to do is Envoy, right? Envoy's cool. They do a workplace management software. They've used these illustrations since the company was founded, and that was a very long time ago, and we're going to update them with some brand new photography. So we'll jump over to Figma, where I have some stuff laid out already. Right, and so what you see with a lot of their stuff is, it's going to be a lot of the same stock photo that we use, right? You've got people collaborating at an office desk, open floor plan offices showing modern tech offices, right? This is kind of what showcases their product the best. And so we'll jump back over to images. And so, so we'll show a sales team. Sorry, let me use my prompt. All right, so I copied my prompt over. I'm not sure that the permutation is going to work on the web, but we are going to try it. And so I do want to switch this up. Here, let's switch this up. Does anybody have a suggestion for how we should switch this up as far instead of a marketing team, we could showcase? No? All right. We'll pick HR team, collaborating on a whiteboard and just Slims to Tech Office. All right. This is gonna give us too many. I'll show you repeat later. No, we'll show repeat now. So anyway, yeah, I didn't think this was gonna work. All right, no permutations in the demo today. Sorry, guys. All right, and then, so we'll jump back, and as you can see, we've got 12 images being created right now. Let's hope we get something good. But I've excluded windows. We're using a 4:3 aspect ratio. And you guys saw the prompt. We're starting to get some cool stuff. Hallucinations, they put the whiteboard illustrations on my man's shirt. I don't think that's bad. It's kind of giving Basquiat vibes, right? But this one, as you can see, right, HSAs, which is specific to a HR team, which I think is pretty cool. And so we can take one of these versions that we like. All right, and so we've got, this one is cool. So we'll go ahead and subtle vary on this one. Oh, it's not gonna give me. Oh, that's weak. Let's see if we can do some character reference real quick, guys. Oh, okay, here it goes. And so, can you guys see that? It's pretty tiny, but if you can see, I'm hovering over, this is actually kind of cool, but they've added the character reference into the GUI, and so, whereas previously I'd have to see ref and then choose the character weight, now I can just jump over, like, select the image and then choose from these options, and so we've got the character reference, we've got the style reference, which will copy the style of the image, and then the image references. But we want to keep these characters, and so the cref is now replaced by that. And let's say enjoying lunch in open floor plan office. I can't chaos. All right. And so each time you run the prompt, right, you're going to get 4 results. We can always use the R to increase that. I always like to start off with 12 or more, just so I can get mostly because it's going to give me different faces. And then from there, I can take the faces that I like and dive in further. All right, while that's cooking up, also wanted to show some of these reframe and like repaint. And so they've changed, I think it was just mask before, but this repaint is now replacing the mask here in the GUI, and so we could repaint. Say we didn't like the Basquiat on my man's chest here. I could highlight over this, And right. We're just gonna randomize it. And then, well, so I highlight over that, and then now I can make a call out. But I don't know what exactly to switch. But let's just hope that this removes that off of his chest. And then with one of these other ones here, let's, oh, hey, my lunch photos got done. Right, and so as you can see here, so we got, I think this is the one that we copied over, right? We got the guy with the beard, other guy with beard, but we're starting to see some of those same characters here. They did a really, really bad job with that one. But again, sorry, so this will give you photos. So say you needed a career page, a new hero for your career page, you can now start to play with the different prompts and environments using the character weight and get in some realistic results and keeping it thematic. I wanted to show one more, but I will open it up for questions, or if anybody has a suggestion or something else we can try, I would love to, continue showcasing things.
Yeah, for Q&A, if anybody has a question, let me know. I'll pass you the mic. Please stand up and we'll catch you on the live stream. Yeah, Jason, if you can do me a favor and pass that over, please. Thank you.
I couldn't help but notice something, a pattern in all of these images, that the HR team is all 20-something-year-old hipsters. How did that work out? They don't look like me at all.
All right. Well, that was limited by strictly my own imagination. And so I noticed that also. But what we can do, right? So we'll go ahead and very strong on that one, right? Oh, it's not letting me. I wish I worked at Midjourney so I could say that we'll be improving this, but unfortunately this isn't my product. But and so in Discord, what I would do whenever that happened, right, I would come over and hit the very, I would just run the prompt over, and I'll show you where I messed up. So you've got to be descriptive with Midjourney. It's super helpful for that. But so what we'll do is we'll just prompt it to give us some variation in the people. This one is always trippy. So I've used multiracial, and it really gets like hallucination, like the faces get trippy when I put multiracial. I'm gonna put multi-ethnic. Yeah. Wish us luck. All right, and so yeah, but this should give us the right. I just didn't include it in the prompt, and so we'll go back through, and this will hopefully give us some wider range of faces and ages. And something like this is also really good to throw the repeat on because you'll end up with a bunch of different outcomes. Oh, dang it.
I was going to say, while we're waiting, let me ask you a question. Is there any other tools you're using or liking at the moment? Like stuff you've been testing out?
For, I've been playing with Dall-E.
Okay.
And today Dall-E gave me some really good response. Like for the first time, I was actually really impressed with what I got back in Dall-E today. I would not have even mentioned it last week.
Right, okay. Yeah.
But Yes, as I was like preparing for this, as I was preparing for this, dang it, I think I deleted it. Yeah, I did delete it. Yeah, I deleted it. Sorry, guys.
You're good.
But yeah, what we can do though, real quick, is drop this into Dall-E. Using the same prompt, we'll go ahead and just drop it into Dall-E and see what we get.
Is there any model you've noticed is better for kind of like age diversity or diversity of characters off the bat?
So one of the things that I did notice, V6, I think if you're doing anything specific to creating black people in AI, use V6.
Okay.
V5 doesn't do hair or like textures right at all. V6 for hair, hands down. There's a whole article on it, but V6 will get you way better hair textures that actually make sense.
Gotcha. Cool.
And then if you do want to do like illustrations, Niji, I want to say it's Niji, Niji. I think that one was created specifically for like anime, manga style images. But whenever I am doing something that I want more, whenever I do want more, like whenever I want illustrations, I use Niji.
Awesome.
But yeah, let's see. Right, and so this like looks like something that you would get off of any of the stock photo sites, right? Like it's got, and this is almost like this is rivaling what we're getting out of Midjourney. And so I know that there's like different restrictions companies are gonna have on what you can use, right? Midjourney, because it's in Discord, is probably you're probably not gonna be able to use it. Which is one of the big pushes, I think, for them to like bring it into the browser, but the browser doesn't have all the features yet. But if you guys have ChatGPT approved, you can use Dall-E, and this is pretty good. I mean, it's hallucinating a lot now that I'm noticing, but it's better than nothing.
One more audience question. Great.
Have you tried ideogram?
I've not tried ideogram.
You might want to try it because it's a good third option. It has the coherence like Dall-E, but it has the realism kind of like Midjourney, so it's another thing to consider. And you can try it for free, so.
Awesome.
Pretty cool.
Awesome. Thanks, Will.
Thank you for that.
Great, awesome, Rodney. Well, thank you so much. I know it's tough with like a live demo. Oh, we have one more question. Okay, awesome. Oh, please.
I don't know if you've answered this before, but my question is as far as like intellectual property and creating these files and clients wanting the source files and if you have your own artwork. I understand that I've done some reading on it, but once you've uploaded it to Midjourney or any of these AI apps or platforms, it becomes their intellectual property. But I understand if you pull it down and you do some more creativity, I guess, in Photoshop and things like that, who owns it? What are you able to sign over rights to? I've read different things, but I love clarification on that.
Yep. So I left off probably the most critical piece of this, right, is that you always, unless you're doing like a blog photo, maybe like, you just need a cover photo for a blog article, right? Like and it spits out a decent result. You can use that. That's probably the only time I would just use what Midjourney gives me back. Every single time I'm going to jump into Figma or jump into Photoshop make the edits, make the photo mine, and then use that photo in my final product, right? As far as rights, I'm a creator. I'm not really too great on explaining this. I just know that I treat Midjourney like I would if I found any other asset online, right? It's like, oh, that's cool. This is good inspiration. Let me refine this, put my flavor on it, and then go forward with that. But I hope that answers your question. Oh, and then as far as uploading photos, if it's something that, so if you're working at a company and it's a photo that they do not want, this always gets tricky, right? Because it's a photo that was taken and it's gonna get put on the website, right? As far as Midjourney owning it, I don't think there'd be copyrights on that photo, so Midjourney wouldn't open it. But if it's something that you don't want to share, Discord was awesome because there was stealth mode, and so I could do some work in stealth mode, and then those results, if when I was on my Midjourney feed, right, I have a bunch of stuff that I did in stealth mode yesterday that wasn't in that feed that you guys should have saw that you weren't going to see, because the stealth mode keeps it private to my server. And so I had to create a server in Discord, invite the Midjourney bot, and on that server exist these photos that don't go back to Midjourney, if I'm understanding that right. But like I said, I just create cool things and then deal with the problems later.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Rodney. Everybody give it up for Rodney, please.
Thank you.
Great. So just a couple of announcements before I let you guys get going. So if you want to show some support, you can feel free to mention us on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. We're there everywhere at the AIusergroup.com. We'd love it if you bring some friends or colleagues next time to our next event. Speaking of which, we'll see you at AI for Designers 16 on July 17th. If you're interested in some of our other tracks, developers, marketers will be here on June 26th and also on June 10th or July 10th. Next up, we have community open mic section. So if anybody wants to talk about a job opening at your company, consulting opportunities, talk to me about what you're working on, you'd like to find some co-founders, you can make a little line, come up, pitch your product, talk about things. It's a really good way to kick it off networking and get people to come up to you. So if anybody, please don't be shy. I was going to say, I have chocolate for somebody who does it. Come on. I can't believe nobody here is working on anything, doesn't want to make any friends. Yeah? Come on. Great. You can say hi to our live stream as well.
Oh, yikes. Hey guys, I'm Ross Elliott. I just moved to SF like 3 days ago. A PhD in math from Caltech. Started working on building Gen AI in 2019 before it was cool. We're just about to launch our first product on Discord. We're doing real-time video-to-video transformations of all kinds. Would love to show you guys a demo. Have one on my cell phone. Come up and talk to me. It's called Pixel Dust, pixeldust.art. It's our landing page. We could also use some branding help, as you'll find out. Thanks.
Awesome. Welcome to SF. Anybody else? Yeah? Yeah, you're ready? Okay, right in the back. Great. I will, yeah. Hey, wait, come here for the live stream. We gotta get you mics.
I made a tabletop card game just for fun, and it has 156 unique cards. It's about far future artifacts. It's called Visionym, and it kind of teaches design thinking. And I pretty heavily used AI with it, and I did a lot of custom training on my non-AI art. And I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet, but it would be fun to like just demo it here, maybe afterwards, and show people how it works. It doesn't take long to play, so.
Awesome, sounds fun. Thank you. Brilliant, folks. Well, thank you so much for attending, hanging out with us. Again, if you would like to speak, you can reach me at sinead@theaiuser.com, or if there's anything else, let me know. But I'll let you go away and have some pizza and great conversation. Thanks so much.